right, welcome to another episode of Vital Doc Talk, and today we have Dr. Chad Rechcygl. Dr. Chad, welcome to the show.
Hey, Vlad, what's going on?
I'm up at 7 a.m. and this is an early meeting, but you are worth it. So, just ready to provide some value to our audience here. So, Dr. Chad, why don't
Beautiful day. Beautiful day. I've already been out walking the dog, had some breakfast, got some reading in. I'm looking forward to talking to you. This is great.
Awesome. What time? What location are you in? What time zone?
I'm Central, so it's 9 o'clock for me now.
That is the best time zone, I feel, because you're right next to the East Coasters and then us West Coasters, and you're like right there. So it's not a stretch. Congratulations. So why don't you give us a little bit of a background there and how you got into the Central Time Zone district?
Sure. Born and raised here, of course. So the Midwest is just a great place to raise a family and just be able to live out your dreams. I've always had the dream of traveling and seeing the world and seeing culture. So I did venture out east for my undergraduate degree out in Connecticut. So I got to experience the East Coast for a little while. I also got to experience Florida for a while for chiropractic school. So it was very hot, and I tend to very much like snow. I'm a hockey player. I'm a sailor. I'm a snowboarder, skier. So just a lot of activities, and Midwest is perfect because you can travel, a couple hours each way and get almost everything. But recently, the last 10 years, been running chiropractic offices. We've built 3 of them so far. We've partnered up with other groups. I also run a virtual health consultancy, men's health program to help take guys' levels to the next level, specifically when you have low testosterone. So I've got lots of stuff going. I juggle quite a bit.
You're a high performer. I love that. That is awesome. Hats off. And this is one of the reasons I love doing interviews with doctors, because, I feel like I can relate. I don't know if I'm on your guys' level, but definitely super driven. So hats off there. So why don't we go into, today and your practice? What's been your best marketing channel? Is it social media, SEO, referrals? What do you feel like drives your business the best?
Right. So in the past, it would be me doing everything, right? You start off by yourself on your own little island, in your own office, and you spend, 3-4 years of post-grad or, getting your doctorate, and you're ready to hang up your shingle, and you're expecting all these people to come flooding into your doors, and then it's crickets because it's all up to you now. So my least favorite, marketing is basically getting out and doing screenings. So, having a mall booth or going to an event or something like that and saying hey, how's your health? Let's talk. Let's see how we can get you healthier. Like that. Me as partial introvert is I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to hide in my corner, for a long time and not make eye contact. Right. But so building that up, got the offices going, started partnering up with more people. Then now we actually have our own marketing team. So I don't have to do that anymore, which is great. So for number wise, external marketing, so having our marketing team out there doing workshops or screenings at fairs, festivals, stuff like that, that brings in the most new patients for us. But the best percentage for people actually committing to care and starting treatment under the office is definitely a referral. So say a patient gets great results, they bring in their family or friends because they have a similar issue or something else. When they come in, it's a warm lead. They already want to get care. They trust you. They want to get care. So percentage-wise of the internal marketing, internal referrals, that's by far the best.
I love that. I love how you broke it down in terms of external and internal, marketing. And so let's slow it down there and go back to the early days, because you mentioned something that a lot of people, they mention also on the show, but we don't go into. You first start out alone, right? And it happened to me too, right? We have a team of 10 today. and you start off just by yourself. It was me and a partner, but you start off really, just by yourself, and you're the one in charge of business and marketing and all of that. And you kind of have to learn all that stuff. I feel like in chiropractor school, when I'm talking to chiropractors, you guys actually have a pretty good head start. Is that right? Or no? What did you have to learn by yourself versus, what are the things you took and then you hand it off to the team? Because I feel like if you don't know good business practices, et cetera, and you just hire somebody, you can hire the wrong person. I've seen it happen, more times than I can count.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, with chiropractic school, it's really about, they teach you how to get the piece of paper. You get the doctorate, you get your diploma, and there's really not a lot of, I guess you could say, scripting or communication that's taught. So luckily, I knew that going into school, knowing that I didn't have much of a business background because I just been studying sciences the whole time. So I actually seeked out a specific group that taught me about the business side of things. So we would meet on off hours outside of school, and we would talk about how to communicate chiropractor, communicate health, communicate heart disease, cancer, diabetes, headaches, neck pain, back pain, digestion, autism. We would communicate that. We also would get connected with doctors in the area, and we would go basically work for them as well at screenings and learn how to exchange money, learn how to communicate, learn how to make an appointment, learn how to communicate and get people to understand why it'd be a great investment into you to take care of your health. So, yeah.
So it sounds like the group you were a part of, they taught you communication. So you did this while you were in school. That's pretty awesome. And then when you got out on your own, I take you probably still referred to some of the members in the group, or what happened then?
Yeah, then we got the network, right? So then you always have someone to reach out to, call, text, email, seminars, conferences, everything. So it's hard to be on the island by yourself because you can get into that whirlwind of paralysis, right? I have so much going on. I'm so nervous. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to shut down kind of mentality. But then you reach out to someone who's done this before and they're like, oh yeah, just do this or this or this. So we keep it simple.
That makes a lot of sense. So let's dive deeper into, I guess, the details of when you were on your own. If you think back to that hard time, because I feel like that is some of the hardest days when you first start business and you're just, you have to do the things you don't want to do, right? Like you were talking about going out and doing screenings, et cetera. What was your process there? Like, did you call up a mall and say, hey, can I set up a booth? Did you do fairs? Was that your thing? Was it social media? And you're like, okay, did you have to do a little bit of everything every day? What's that system look like for the up and coming doctors out there? And then we can get into the advanced ones.
Right. Yeah, I think when I opened 10 years ago, social media advertising really wasn't there. I could have been wrong, or just it may maybe be the early stages of it. So we didn't get into it right away. There was definitely, your personal Facebook page or something like that, or Instagram, and you're just kind of posting or showing a picture or something like that, or maybe testimonials. So we're just kind of promoting ourselves through our personal pages. But yeah, it was definitely reaching out to a mall and basically purchasing or leasing a kiosk. And so then every waking hour that you're not in the office, you're at the mall, which I don't love going to the mall, right? So, but you would stand at the mall and, just talk to people who were passing by or try to start conversations and lead them into a low introductory offer to come into the office. It might have included like new patient exam or consultation. There's strict rules with taking X-rays, meaning like there has to be medical necessity. There has to be a reason you get X-rays. So there's just some legal jargon that we had to use. But yeah, fairs and festivals were a little bit easier just because people were just in a better mood and they're walking around, and there were other booths that they could go to as well. But the mall definitely built our office for sure. That's what really got it going. But then once you have the new patients in the office, then if you do a good enough job, family, friends, loved ones, coworkers, hopefully a workshop can be built out from that, going to their own, you know, profession or job site and talking to their coworkers as well. So the goal was to steamroll it and snowball it into bigger and bigger things.
So, I mean, you know, there's so much to talk about here. So the mall thing, right? And I've always had the secret fantasy, and maybe you're telling me it should be a nightmare, of having a booth at a mall. And so you're saying that kind of proved profitable for you. And a lot of doctors I talk to, they've got like a 15-minute free consultation thing, which makes a lot of sense, right? Like you want to have people in, and then you want to slowly basically show them. You don't want to just go in and say, hey, you know, here's everything. You're going to have surgery tomorrow. That's like, what the heck, right? So
Right.
basically, I think that's a great model. So what is this? So, you know, I'm walking through the mall, right? And I see you, you know, Dr. Rechcygl, and I'm like, I'm kind of maybe trying to avoid eye contact. What is your script for like starting a conversation? What do you know, do you like point at my shoes or something, or, you know, say hi, or do you wait for eye contact? What's your process look like there? Cause I think that's a lot of people need to hear this.
Right. That's huge. I've tried every single thing in the book, right? I've embarrassed myself. I might have embarrassed them. I've tried to get any type of, look at me or so. But the main one would be like, hey, have you gotten checked yet? Right. And usually people just steamroll right past. Like you said, hey, I like your shoes, or where'd you get that purse, or whatever it has to be. But ultimately, the best thing is honestly if you have like an assistant with you, preferably female. For some reason, females like to talk to females, and guys like to talk to females. Nobody really wants to talk to me, right?
Yeah.
Once they stop though, and they start the conversation, hey, Dr. Chad is here to actually talk to you. They're like, oh, the doctor's here? Yeah, I would love to talk to him about my headaches. So it was a great pass off at that point. And then I could, have a good conversation of getting to the cause of their symptoms rather than masking it with medications or surgery, like you said. And then hopefully they live in the area, and then they could, come into the office.
That makes a lot of sense. And then did you always say, okay, I'm going to have an assistant or someone here to get attention? That's a lot more comfortable speaking to people, you know, or was it, or, you know, did you have to start off solo? How was it in the solo days? Did that still work?
Yeah, back when I first started, luckily I was married, still married. So that's good. But at one point she was pregnant, so she had this big old belly, right? And she was in the mall, helping me. But once our daughter was born, then she was in like a little sling, and then she was on a little backpack, so my wife wasn't always able to be there. So sometimes it was just myself, and it's still worth it to get out there and at least hand out some, free brochures or something like that. But eventually, when we were able to hire on, then we would have the assistant, and then it turned into multiple assistants or multiple team members. And sometimes we could have a couple screenings going at the same time. Maybe it's at this fair and at this festival and at this mall, or at this workshop. So that's what we built up to.
I love that. Did you run the numbers on this? Like, did you say, okay, for every, you know, whatever, $3,000 I spend on a booth, I get 30 clients. For every 30 clients, 10 clients that, you know, say they're going to come in, actually convert to regular patients. And then those patients produce whatever, you know, $500 each, and that's 5,000, et cetera.
Yeah, we definitely looked at the numbers, return of investment for sure. Um, Sometimes it just came down to the times that you went to the mall, because you could go to the mall at 10:30 in the morning and get nobody, but if you showed up for 2 hours on a Friday afternoon, you could get 10, 15. So it all really depended on how busy the mall was, how busy um, the fair was or festival. And yeah, as soon as it stopped being profitable, or we stopped putting the effort into it, that's when we went to other things like social media, stuff like that.
So you don't do that anymore? No more festivals or malls or anything?
We mostly do like teacher appreciation days. So like we're in schools, talking to teachers directly. We focus on because we moved into more of an insurance based model. So we looked at where the best insurances were, in the area, and teachers have great insurance. Typically, like unions and stuff like that have really good insurance. So we started seeking out those specific businesses where there might be more coverage for the patient, which would be more opportunity for them to actually start care. In the beginning, it was all cash, and a lot of people, I would say 99% of people wanted care, but sometimes they just truly couldn't afford a monthly payment or something.
Yeah, I mean, we have a very expensive healthcare system, right? So it's like that's like a whole different episode in and of itself, and the whole
Yeah.
system and how hard it is. So that's awesome though that you actually ran the numbers. I think whenever I talk to other doctors, most of them, the first thing they fail on, and the first thing I need to teach them is, hey, you need to know your numbers, right? You need to know how much time is your time worth, right? How much money is your time worth? How much time are you spending on this marketing activity? And what is it actually producing? And if you don't know the numbers down to a T, then I would say you're on the wrong track, right? You actually have to start committing that to meetings, et cetera. And so, Dr. Rechcygl, it sounds like you actually naturally did this, which hats off to you,
Right. I
yeah.
actually, when I had to take the ACTs, I didn't take the SATs or anything like that because we were in the Midwest, but I did really well in math and science, but I did horrible in like reading and like literature. So I just stuck with what I was good at, you know what I mean? So, and then the people that were good at other things, I had them do that. So eventually it was like a care manager, that could hop in and do the things that I was horrible at.
Well, those are the people who are going to work for you, right? Because you know the math, and that's what matters. Not knowing the math is so. I'll answer this question on Quora the other day. Sometimes I just like to answer them for fun. And somebody asked this question, and I know some of you guys are going to be like, "That's unbelievable," but they're like, "Why is analytics and math so important to business?" And I'm like, "That's exactly how you scale." So Dr. Rechcygl here on our show, right? He has 3 locations because he knows his operations, and he was able to be data driven. And when you're data driven and numbers driven, that's when you can actually make those growth choices, and the path is very clear. Versus if you're more like a glorified consultant, which I would say 80% of business owners are out there, right? They're basically out there and they're just hustling and trying to figure out their numbers. And then it's like a roller coaster. The numbers go up and down because they can't justify what actions produce what results. And so that's why they're just, random, more sporadic. And
Right.
yeah. So 3
Yeah,
locations today. Oh, go ahead.
sorry, we used like the analogy with like Blockbuster. They're obviously out of business now, but they refused to pivot at the time, and Redbox and Netflix and everything took over. So wherever we are in the times, our goal is just to pivot and make sure we're doing the right thing that drives the return on investment. Because we all have ultimate goals. We should retire someday. It's not like we're gonna be able to do this forever, but if you don't have the business and numbers set up now, it's just going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah, for sure. Right. 100%. And if you're not data driven, yeah, right. Like Blockbuster was super confident in, their videos, and they might've been the next big thing in their head. And, like, oh, we're Blockbuster, et cetera. But then, Netflix comes around, et cetera. And because the margins are so much better on digital. And so if you don't know the math there, yeah, it'll definitely crush you and your business. So now you have 3 locations, right? So what are some of the tips and tricks on running multiple locations for the doctors out there listening? Maybe, you can tell us how your marketing has changed, if it has, for multiple locations, and how you gotten your marketing team in place to make sure they're doing the right things. And then maybe also the operations side.
Yeah, like I said, put people in place who are better at something that you are. So delegation is huge. I'm more of a DIYer. Like I'd love to do things myself. Like I watched YouTube videos so I can fix my car just because I love fixing things and doing mechanical things and just learning a new craft. I'm just curious that way. So yeah, just delegating, getting someone in position to do it for you, and then you can oversee, everything. So honestly, I'm the type of person, I don't like the necessity to have to go to sleep, right? I would love to just have energy 24 hours a day, read, do things like just look into everything that you want. Having to sleep to get the energy to do it again the next day bothers me, right? I would much rather not waste the 8 hours of sleep and just be able to keep going. That's me.
Wow. I mean, you sound like you're really highly effective and really productive, which is, obviously a very rare trait. Do you have any plans of opening up more locations? And if so, how does your hiring process look like, right? Maybe especially on the marketing side, we can talk about that. How do you know you're hiring a good Facebook marketer, et cetera? Do you know the process, et cetera? Or do you just listen to them?
Yeah, just like our patients trust with internal referrals, uh, we like to know for like a Facebook agency or something like that, if someone else has used it in our network that has great success. So we already have a trust in them.
100%. And that is fantastic, especially for all you doctors out there that are listening. Make sure that the company or the agency you're working with has case studies. They have referrals they can point you to, on their website. They are experienced in this, because most of the time, a lot of the marketers out there, especially the ones that are cold email spamming, et cetera, like they're just going to have fun with your campaign, and you're paying them to learn. And that's going to be the most costly in the long run. So Dr. Rechcygl, that makes a lot of sense. What are some of your tips for people that have been hit by coronavirus? How has it impacted you? I always like to talk about how doctors pivot through challenges and, you know.
Yeah, great question. I mean, like with Blockbuster, you just have to pivot, right? So within one day, every single event that we had externally was shut down. The gyms, the schools, fairs, festivals, everything done. So no marketing coming in, right? So again, it's like the rug got pulled out right underneath us. So yeah, we actually started doing telehealth conferencing. So we hopped on that. So number one, our patients who just were quarantining, they weren't coming out of their house. Maybe they had the elderly parent living with them or something like that. We were able to at least hop on a video call like we're doing right now, and we would go through, a simple, range of motion test, visually looking at posture, just talking about their daily activities, figuring out ways that they can eat healthier or exercise, at home, keeping the immune system strong. So that was one way that we could stay connected with our patients, which those who did take advantage of it were very happy. And now that everything's starting to dial back up, since we've kept that relationship with them, they're now starting to come back into the office, which is great. Because unfortunately, I can't do the physical adjustment uh, over a video conferencing. Even though that would be nice to develop on top of a robot to be able to do that, but we'll figure that out later. Yeah, we started getting into Facebook ads again, and so now we're looking at more internal referrals. So we're concentrating on the action steps that lead to the referral. So how many times we've talked to a patient about a family or friend, or an opportunity to get their children checked. So we're starting to count, the action steps that would lead to the internal referral, rather than trying to count the actual internal referral that comes in.
I love that you're tracking your referrals. There's a really good book, The Referral Engine, out there that I sometimes spam on the show. Besides my own book, but basically, yeah. So that's really cool right there. So you're actually looking at, hey, how many times do people look at, or actually, how many times do people interact with you? And then if it's X amount of times, it sounds like, oh, hey, a referral is coming, as long as they're happy. So you should make sure to, remember to ask, et cetera. I love that. I love how you're so numbers driven. If you could give people one tip or, takeaway out of this interview, what would it be to step up their marketing game?
Oh, I think a lot of people just few success, in different ways, like what you've actually achieved. Um, and we all want that success to just be that nice linear line, but really it's, like this all over the place.
Yep.
So I like to look at what I've overcome. So this is probably my second, maybe third recession now that I've been through in 10 years. So
Wow.
it's just a great opportunity to grow and overcome this, right? I opened up in a recession, right? So now it's just yeah, what you can overcome is my goal. So how many things can you overcome and keep going? Rocky, it's not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit and then get back up, right? That's one of my favorite quotes.
I love that. I love that, guys. So yeah, make sure, you remember the hard times. So then you're able to bounce back. And these are the times that really forge you right now, right? So if you can be really numbers driven, like Dr. Rechcygl on the show, then you can basically, it's going to be easier to make those data driven decisions. And then once things get easier, which they always will, right? Life's not like a linear line. Like you said, it's not perfect, right? Even though sometimes we think about our neighbor and the grass is always greener, then you'll see that you can get more momentum and then keep growing. So thank you so much, Dr. Rechcygl. Where can people find you?
Yeah. I got a couple different places. Basically, drchad.com is the easiest one. You can definitely do that. And then just search Chiro1 Waukesha. So Waukeska. It's a pretty easy one. Nice Indian name.
That is a great name. And thank you guys so much. That was another episode of Vital Doc Talk.